Well, hi, everyone. I'm Andy Asher, editor at BloomerBoomer, and today's guest is someone you know from television and entertainment. She is Leeza Gibbons, who first enchanted American television audiences in 1984 as a correspondent and co-host of the extremely popular entertainment Tonight Show. She continues to charm us with numerous programs on television and radio, but she may have eclipsed those achievements as an amazing trailblazer for important causes impacting life, death, and aging. She's become an advocate for health care, wellness, and caregiving, ultimately becoming a social entrepreneur, creating the nonprofit Leeza's Care Connection, where she offers free services and support to those trying to answer the question, now what? When someone they love gets a diagnosis of chronic illness or disease. She also embodies what it means to have a second act in life, all issues near and dear to the heart of the BloomerBoomer community and the Plus 50 Good Life. We'll talk with Leeza in just a moment. The show is part of the Plus 50 Good Life, a project of the BloomerBoomer.com publication. We have several shows, and you can subscribe to on YouTube, Facebook, and through BloomerBoomer. And we have other regular shows, our World Festival Tour to include on your bucket list, and our Healthy Green Cooking Show with Mimi. Check them out. You may walk away with one of those aha moments. We'll be right back with Leeza Gibbons, someone you will get to know who thrives far beyond the world of entertainment. We'll be back. Well, our guest is Leeza Gibbons, someone you will get to know who thrives far beyond the world of entertainment. Leeza, it's good to have you here.
I'm so happy to spend time with you. Thank you. Hi, everybody.
You know, you're doing so many things, and you've done so many things. I guess I should congratulate you. You're 60 years old this year.
You know, I'm so glad, and I know that is your point of view with this show,
Absolutely.
to say congratulations, because it is a celebration. It is a beautiful milestone, and I have reached it, as many do, feeling really optimistic and more like myself than in the previous decades, honestly.
Isn't that an exciting feeling? And you feel great, right?
I do feel great. I think that, you know, when you have intellectual curiosity and when you have your physical health and you have connections and relationships that really enrich you, those are the energy wells from which we can fuel this part of our life in the coming decades. And so I'm incredibly blessed and very aware of those gifts.
And I think that's well put, something that sometimes we forget sometimes, the importance of having friends and loved ones if we're lucky enough to have that.
Exactly right. And really when you look at the statistics of what that kind of isolation from people, we're hardwired to connect. You know, that's how we're designed as people. And isolation brings about depression, and depression can put you at the front of the line for things like Alzheimer's, which, as you know, is one of my real passion areas. So I mind those relationships very carefully.
You know, Leeza, you've done so much, in the field of entertainment, and now you've taken out, in a sense, maybe a second act. What's it been like to make that kind of transition to the glitz and glamour? And I know that you also are one of those people who get their hands right into things. You're not one of those to just stand away. Am I right?
Well, that's the fun, right? That's where the action is. I think that when you're looking at reclaiming, reframing, reinventing. Many of us get a chance to do that, have several iterations along the way. And I think that the thing that stops us usually is fear. But, I've realized that successful people don't fear change. They find a way to change the fear. And so on my path as a journalist and a reporter and a TV host, the thing that really broke me out of my false sense of security really was when my mother got Alzheimer's disease. And so as a storyteller, my mother had said to me, okay, honey, you've reported on all kinds of things. Now, this is your story. Tell this story. And so that's really what led me down the path of celebrating and honoring caregivers and their stories.
Wow, that's an amazing story to experience that firsthand. And since then, I know you've put together a group or an organization to help in Alzheimer's and in other areas as well. And that's where you spend a good deal of your attention, isn't that right?
Yes, I created Leeza's Care Connection really because it was what we wish we'd had in the world when we were on our journey caring for my mom. And more recently, I've become a caregiver for my dad, who has heart disease and had a heart attack. So I've become very intimately involved with how heroic family caregivers are. You know, they are the first responders in the family. They run towards the emergency when everybody else is saying, oh, wait, I'm in denial, not me. I don't know what to do. And I'm afraid of this. And let me just pull the covers up over my head. So I really see tremendous value and incredible resilience in our caregiving population. And as you know, a caregiver, an unpaid family caregiver, can spend 20 hours or more a week taking care of a loved one. And so they really need education, and they need to be empowered, and they need energy to go the distance with this marathon, because it's not a sprint, and it requires that you have systems and sanity and make it all work.
So for folks who want to learn more about what you're doing in that regard, what's the best way to get in touch with you and your organization?
We're leezascareconnection.org. And we teach a lot of classes. We have a lot of programs. All of our services are free. One of the primary things that I love to share with people when they're looking at their journey as a caregiver, so often caregivers get burnt out. It's what we call compassion fatigue, right? And it's all an assault on your immune system and on your finances, on your emotions, everything, spiritually, financially, you just deplete. So to avoid that burnout and to sort of mitigate that compassion fatigue, there's some very real strategies that can help, some things that really helped me. Technology is your friend. And so when my dad got heart disease, I knew that he wanted to stay independent, of course, but I didn't want to worry about him. So the challenge is, how do you have peace of mind? How do you honor your loved ones' need to be independent, your desire for them to be safe? So we got my dad a Philips Lifeline. And had we not really encouraged Daddy to wear this medical alert system, to use this medical alert system, we wouldn't have my dad today. So I love to tell people about the benefits of having that personal emergency response system, knowing that help is always a button push away. And now Daddy has a Ghost Safe, which is the newest version of his Lifeline. So he can wear it in the shower in the next room, or he can wear it in the next state and in anywhere in the United States. So keeping him safe in his home and outside of the home is my real priority.
Yeah, and I know you have some videos that are very impactful with your dad, and I really credit you for doing some amazing things. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to benefit by it.
Well, I hope so, because one of the things that I worried about is my dad likes to go out and fish, and Dad's alone in the middle of the lake. Think about, as the caregiver, how concerned I am, and I don't want to be the police and say, oh, Dad, you can't, you shouldn't. I think that's the challenge a lot of us have. Well, because his Ghost Safe has auto alert, a feature called auto alert, if he passes out or gets disoriented or anything, it will automatically call for help, even if he can't push the button, with 6 locating technologies, so including GPS and Wi-Fi, so they can find out exactly where he is and send help. That's a very big deal.
No kidding. Well, Leeza, I know you probably learned through life you don't want to predict too much out in the future because things change and it's unexpected in many cases. But what's up in the next few years for Leeza Gibbons?
Well, I'm continuing to look at ways to address the need that we have in our country for family caregivers, because we are the healthcare system. We can talk all we want to, and we should, and we are, about what's going on in Washington and, what gets passed legislatively. But meanwhile, there are lots of people on the front lines just trying to move forward. And so I think for caregivers out there that are sharing this conversation with us, in order to get a grip on what you have to do, you don't have to lose yourself while you're caring for someone else, but you do have to adjust to answering that question that you mentioned earlier, now what? By saying, okay, I can't go back. I can't go back to the time before this happened, before this diagnosis. But you can utilize lots of support and get yourself organized and reach out. That's probably the hardest thing for caregivers, Andy, I think, is to say, here are my limits. I need help. There are a lot of free apps out there that can help you manage people who want to participate. Carecalendar.org, it's all free. You just go there and you can invite your friends to join in, and they can say, okay, I can come over Tuesday, I can bring a casserole, I can rake the leaves, whatever it is that you need. But to develop that skill of asking for help is really imperative.
Wow, what a simple but difficult lesson to learn, and it is something a lot of us have to learn as well.
Right.
For folks who are just now realizing maybe some of the things that you've indicated, or may want to start planning, or they may anticipate the need here, what might be a takeaway that you can provide?
Well, certainly, as I said, explore the technology. Look at timers and reminders that can help you manage the task in front of you. Most of those caregivers we talked about are managing medications for their loved one, and there are all kinds of safety challenges and timing, and with food, without food. So I would say to look into an automated medication dispenser, and that will help you keep the meds safe. Well, also, the one that Dad has, and he has the one from Philips that will remind you, the caregiver will send you a notification or call you if he misses a dose. So that would be your indication, wait a minute, something's wrong, let me get in touch and see what's happening. So timers and reminders are really important. Remember to rest and recharge. And I know this is very basic advice, but you can't pour from an empty vessel. And when you're a caregiver, taking those 5 minutes to oxygenate your brain will help you feel that you can get a handle on the situation and allow you to cope. So find your sanity sanctuaries, whatever they are, and put your boundaries around those things like your life depends on it, because it really does.
It sure does, and I have a feeling we can keep our eyes on you, and because you'll probably be doing some pretty cool things down the road. Thanks so much, Leeza.
Yes, and I hope you'll be watching the Rose Parade, coming up this year. It's my new gig, hosting the Rose Parade, and so I'm very excited. That's a TV comfort food tradition that makes us feel, I think, very positive about who we are.
You know what? I read that, and I am glad you brought it up. I think that is so good, and my tradition as a kid was the Rose Parade, and I'm really glad that you're a part of it. Good.
Yep, we all have those memories of kind of, either watching it in our jammies, or if you're lucky enough to come to California, being in those bleachers. So this was a real dream come true, so I'm very excited about that. That just means an early night for me on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again, Leeza. Leeza Gibbons, someone I hope you got to know, who thrives far beyond the world of entertainment. We'll be right back. Well, I hope you liked the show, learned a thing or two. The full show will be available on YouTube and at BloomerBoomer. The audio version will be available on Apple Podcasts.